Hi there, my name is Rich Sermonello. I'm a professional photographer and Amazon influencer. And right now I want to talk to you about the shadowless conical softboxes from NEEWER. Now what is a conical softbox? A conical softbox is basically a translucent cone that you put over your product in order to diffuse the light. Now this kit comes with 3 different cones, 3 different sizes. There's a small, a medium, and a large. They all look like cones. And they come stored in this tube, all 3 of them do, because they are collapsible. So they have a number of snaps to hold them together. But when you want to break them down, you just undo the snaps and then you roll it up. All right, you do this with the small one. This is the small one. You do it with the medium and the large, and you roll them up into a small cone, and then they can fit into this tube. So assembling it is just the opposite. You just unroll it and then put the snaps together. Pretty easy. So what I have here on the table is I have a small Catwoman figure. Actually, it's, yeah, Catwoman. And what we're going to do is we're going to see the difference between the hard sunlight that's coming in through my window and acting as a very, very hard light on the figure, and then what the difference is when we use the conical softbox. So I'm going to actually use the large one. All right, and that's here, and here we go. So you see the figure there. You can see the shadows are very, very hard. I'm going to pop this over the top, and you can clearly see now that the shadows have softened a bit. You also need to be careful not to shoot the edge of your cone and to get that in the frame. So there we go. It's very, very soft. I wouldn't say it's completely shadowless, but it is pretty soft. And the idea is that you put this around your product, and then the light coming in will be softened by the translucent material, and then also it will be wrapped around by bouncing around a little bit inside, so it acts almost like a translucent light softener, and also sort of a reflector. All right, and that's the concept. So there it is, and it works pretty well. Now, you have to be careful. A couple things you have to keep in mind. The size of the opening on the bottom of the cone can be pretty large. It's a cone, right? Larger on the bottom than on the top. But that doesn't mean it can accommodate a product that large, because in order to photograph a large product, you're going to have your camera pretty close, and in order to be able to get all that in one shot, you're probably going to have to use a wide-angle lens, which may cause distortion. It's one of the reasons why I'm using a phone to do this demo, because it'll be a little bit less distortion than with my DSLR. Whatever camera you use, you're going to have to be able to shoot through the small opening without seeing the rim, unless you want to Photoshop it out. But all I'm saying is, don't think that the wide end is what your product can be as large as the wide end. Not every time, especially on the small one, because you're going to be pretty close to your subject. So you'll see what I mean. If I put this cone over, you can clearly see that even though you can see the entire figure from this perspective, you can also see the entire top ridge of the cone. Now I could bring my lens closer, but of course that's going to cause distortion. That's all I'm talking about. All right, so you've got the small one, the medium one, and the medium one you can just, does it fit? Just barely see the edge. Might work for this. And then of course I used the large one, which worked best. Now that's it. If you think that these would be useful for your product photography, I've had some pretty good results with them. I do like them. But what's the difference between using that and maybe a softbox or maybe a scrim? Well, I happen to have a scrim over here. And let's see what the difference is. So if I use the scrim on the light, one of the benefits is I can change the angle of the scrim, which does adjust the angle of the shadow on my subject. So it's kind of up to you whether you think that the soft light from the shadowless conical softbox is better or a scrim is better. Anyway, that's it. I think these are really cool. I'm going to be using them for some more product photography. And sometimes they're a little easier to use than a scrim. And I'm going to test them out and see how I like them. I hope this helps.
media. Let it set up the smock fan. It springs open, high memory. Buttons on this material. It is semi-rigid. This is buttoned together. Last one. And you can see there's a translucence to it. You can see the hand is visible as it gets closer. We're going to shine some light into it. Take some pictures.